Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from the border of liberty and prosperity, the highway to the north, this is Safety Wars for Wednesday, August 14, 2024. How's everybody doing out there? Hope you're enjoying your day, and like I said before we kicked in here on Safety FM, beautiful day here in the Northeast. Spent the entire day in North Jersey visiting clients and doing a safety audit this morning. We do safety audits for all different types of work areas: general industry, construction, disaster sites, maritime. Get a lot of tech-oriented companies. Today we had one with a event and meeting planning firm. And as everyone here on the program knows, my wife is an event and meeting planner, and everything I learned about event and meeting planning, I learned from her. It was great to apply some of that knowledge and actually get paid for it. Hope everybody is, going through there. Anyway, we have a lot of new customers here and new listeners, and they were very interested in hearing, making sure I'm on the air here. They're very interested in hearing all about outreach training. So we're going to, what I found out today was outreach training is being updated on October 1st, 2024. This goes through periodic updates reflected of different things. We're going to go through that from the point of view of the course. We'll do that. So it is Wednesday, and it's our hop number 3. What are we talking about here?
This is Safety Wars, broadcasting to our brothers and sisters in the occupied territory of behavior-based safety. Get out your secret decoder ring. Here is your nightly message. Learning is vital. Learning is vital.
That's right. Learning is vital. And we go through this, since there's 5 HOP principles. We try to go through it. Now, every day where it says on a Thursday, we're going to do like number 4, Friday, number 5, and everything with that. How are you enjoying the new demos and everything? I did okay with them. With this, and we're going to here. Let's hear this one. We're getting better here. OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy.
So there's much to do. I've been getting a lot of inquiries on outreach training for the university that I teach at, and also for the private clients that I have. And I went over some of this stuff with, I push the outreach training because it's a lot of real basic information. If, my opinion, now, and some of the states do this with their vocational technical schools, every worker out there should, by the time they get out of high school, have either a 10 or 30-hour course in either general industry, construction, maritime, something. But the most important thing is the 1 hour introduction to OSHA, which we're going to go over one of these days. Now, we're trying to find the right venue and everything here for that. And It's because it's a civil rights type issue, and people do not know their civil rights as workers, as employers, or anything. And this is where this comes into it. And it's a very controversial, believe it or not, thing for a lot of companies and a lot of individuals because they feel that people should take one for the team, right? We don't, let me move this. Civil rights, you don't have civil rights as a worker. You have a right under OSHA to a safe and healthful workplace free of recognized hazards. And a right, and it's codified. A right is different than a want. You have a right. And we're also going to talk about that in the very near future on one of these shows on what rights are. Because they're important. And with that, and you have to be able to assert your right to actually, to maintain them in a way. Now, I'm going to go right into the OSHA Outreach training stuff right now. Now, this is, if you look here, this is the Outreach Training Program, Construction Industry Procedures, revised on July 1st, for they're effective on October 1st, 2024. And why do we, why do we have this stuff? So, generally speaking, for maritime, it is what it is, not generally speaking. For maritime, general industry and construction outreach, you have 10 and 30-hour courses. So, for example, you have 10 and 30-hour construction outreach training. You have 10 and 30-hour general industry training. You have maritime training, which includes shipyards, marine terminals, and longshoring. And then you have like the oddball of them, which is the disaster response worker training, which is either 7.5 or 15 hours of training with a very concentration on PPE and different disasters to deal with that. So one of my most requested courses is this, the construction outreach training. And this is not something you really want to mess with. As we covered the story here in the New York area, there is one individual or a group of individuals that allegedly issued about 20,000 fake OSHA cards, OSHA outreach cards. Now, to work in New York City on a Department of Buildings job, or pretty much any federally funded job or government funded job, you have to have, especially the Department of Buildings, you have to have a license to work. And they have different levels of license. I'm not going to go into those here. But one of the requirements is that you have to have a 30-hour course. Now, they did this in a hurry because there were a bunch of catastrophic accidents in New York City. So the former mayor, de Blasio, and his administration and all the politicians. So we have to come out with 40 hours of training. And people get very confused because you have 40-hour HAZWOPER, you have 8-hour refreshers, you have the 30-hour course that we're talking, or the 10-hour course, what we're talking about tonight. You have all different types of stuff in there, and people get very, very, very confused by it. I don't know why, but people get confused by all this stuff. Now, and it used to be a lot more frequent, but about once a week for years, I was getting phone calls. Jimmy, how long does I get a phone call? And it went like this, and I'm not the only trainer, so I think it was the government checking up on us. Jimmy, you do 30-hour outreach training. Yes. Well, how long does it take to get a 30-hour outreach course? How long does the class? And it would be 30 hours? And it would be, well, how long does it take to get a 10-hour course? So I actually have to show up for that? Yeah, it takes 10 hours. And then they get aggravated with you. Well, I know somebody, right? This is the I know somebody. I know somebody who could do the class in 8 hours. Well, you know somebody who broke federal law and committed a felony then. Well, yeah, but Jim, 30, well, come on, not everyone's doing it. Well, I don't do it. And conversations like this happen all the time, and every once in a while we still get them. And what ends up happening is, one of the things is that as a trainer for the outreach training, it is a awareness level course. Even a 30-hour course is an awareness level course. You're not actually certifying anything in anyone in anything in that course. Yes, that's true. So for the companies so I'm up front. If you're a company and you think you're going to send people to a outreach course and they're going to be certified in something or trained in something, and why is that? Because every one of these courses is different. Well, what do you mean it's different? It's different, and you're going to see how that is right now in the course. How things are different. Well, every trainer does things different. Yes, you have basic information that you have to have, which we're going to go through. Now, going back to, let me finish the story with New York. They had several tens of thousands of workers that needed outreach training at one time. I'm going to tell you, OSHA does not allow you to do training more than 7.5 hours per day. That means on a 10-hour course, it's going to take 2 days. On a 30-hour course, it's going to take 4 days. But it could go up to 6 months. As of today, August 14, 2024, it could go up to 6 months, right? Which is a pain in the neck to do a 30-hour course because you really everyone's going to show up to every class. Every person is going to be present at every class. Everybody's going to be aware of what's going on in every class. So it's a little bit of a bear to contend with. The 10-hour course, a lot easier to do that. So a lot of my clients back in the day used to do like 2 hours a week or 1 hour a week. And in 10 weeks, you got everything that you need. And again, a little bit of a pain in the neck to manage. Now, so what happened was they had all these people going, and they said, I can't afford to take 4 days off. So they buy things on the street. I can't afford to take 2 days off. They buy it on the street. But believe me, it shows, because what ends up happening is you have people that show up to these job sites. And I mean, there are people that don't even know how to put on fall protection on any of this stuff. Fall protection, hard hats. We actually had one guy working for a painting contractor that didn't even know how to put on a respirator. And I'm not even talking blasted. I mean a standard half-face respirator. He lasted about 3 days at the company. They had to get rid of him because he knew nothing about safety. Nothing, nada, zero. And not totally his fault, because look at the context that we are left to work in, especially if English is not your first language. Because back in the day, and I mean back in the day like 5 years ago, people would go to a job site and they'd be like, and I had a client do this. This actually happened, where they go to a job site and the client personnel, they say, hey, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? And what's the response? Well, I have no training. I don't know what's going on. And they say it in broken English. And the safety professional will be, oh, okay, well, we're going to leave them. Well, we'll just keep an eye on them, sort of thing. Rather than say, well, wait, you had the training. You had the knowledge you're supposed to have, right? The OSHA Outreach training. How could you not know basic stuff? How to wear a hard hat, how to put on a face, safety glasses, how to use fall protection equipment. OSHA recordable. You have managers that go through a 30-hour course had never heard of an OSHA recordable. I had that 3 days ago on one of my projects where I was called in to do a safety audit. Guess what? Knew nothing. Well, okay, you had a recent accident here. Can I see the accident report? Sure. And it's like a 3-line accident report that does not meet OSHA requirements under OSHA 300A accident report, right? I believe that's the form. But anyway, the accident report form. No idea, no nothing. And he was 30-hour trained twice. Never heard of it. Knew nothing about it. Didn't know. So it shows that it's putting companies out of liability long term because eventually, because you know through the SKR modes of work model from Jens Rasmussen, we know eventually there's going to be human error and you're going to have some type of accident. Or if you like the Swiss cheese model where all the Swiss cheeses holes line up, or if you like my favorite is the sand model where people where people have a pile of sand, and how much sand does it take for the avalanche, right? And now which grain of sand caused the avalanche, right? Or the Jenga, like Todd Conklin made popular, the Jenga thing with the blocks. But anyway, and so long term, there's an issue here. So in the short term, workers, especially the younger workers, don't know their way around a site, and they don't know what their rights are, don't know what the company is supposed to be doing. And on the longer term, you have added liability to the company because you have people that don't know what they're doing. And it causes accidents and everything else. So here we're going to switch on over to the manual here. And here's the construction industry overview. The purpose of the OSHA Outreach training program for the construction industry is to teach construction workers for their rights, employer responsibilities, how to file a complaint, as well as identify, abate, avoid, and prevent job-related hazards. OSHA authorizes safety and health professionals who complete an OSHA Outreach construction trainer course to conduct occupational safety and health classes for construction workers. After the training is complete, trainers document the training to their authorizing training organization and receive student course completion cards to distribute to the workers they have trained. Right? So we issue a card, and it's usually, depending on your issuing organization, it's usually around 30 days, but it could take up to 90 days to get a card. And by the way, if you're a trainer, you have to give that card in within 90 days, and you can have a temporary card issued also. You're allowed to issue, and it has to be a standardized language on there and everything. The outreach training program is voluntary, right? Unless, there's localities, New York City, Philadelphia, San Diego, in the shipyard industry, mandate outreach training. And that's like separate from OSHA. Some states and local jurisdictions have enacted legislation mandating OSHA outreach program training to work on job sites to fill their own safety training goals. However, the federal government does not mandate, OSHA outreach training program participation. For additional information on OSHA's training related requirements, see blah, 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 blah. So essentially, what does it take to be an outreach trainer? You have to be to become an authorized outreach trainer for the construction industry. You must have 5 years of construction safety experience, period. A bachelor's degree in occupational safety, and all this substitute for 2 years. Often on that application, people put down there working safely here. So to become an authorized trainer, you're right on that. So you have to complete the OSHA 510 course. And the completion of the OSHA 500 course, which is 510 is occupational safety and health standards for the construction industry. To remain current on relevant OSHA matters and ensure quality training, construction outreach trainers are required to complete either the OSHA 502 course, an occupational safety and health standards for the construction industry course every 4 years. Believe me, it's a nightmare to keep up, and they have other things here. Now, here are the designated training requirements under OSHA for the 10-hour construction industry. Now, the training should emphasize hazard identification, avoidance, control, and prevention, not OSHA standards. All right, so you follow on this here. Introduction to OSHA, that's 1 hour. So you have required courses. Introduction to OSHA is 1 hour, and that has OSHA has issued overheads for that, or PowerPoint presentations for that. Right, and what does that cover? Workers' rights, employer responsibilities, and how to file a complaint. It includes helpful workers' safety and health resources. It also provides samples of a weekly fatality and accident and catastrophe report, SCSs, and the OSHA Form 300. Materials include an instructor guide, student handouts, and participatory activities. Then you have the OSHA Focus 4 hazards, right? So that's 1 hour of Intro to OSHA. Now we have OSHA Focus 4 hazards. Those are required, and they're 1 hour and 30 minutes each. Right, for fall protection, 1 hour and 30 minutes. The remaining 3 Focus 4 hazard topics must be covered for a minimum of 30 minutes each. Right, and then you have, after the Focus 4, what's the Focus 4? Falls, electrocution, struck by, caught in between. Then you have to have 30 minutes of PPE, 30 minutes of health hazards in construction, which is essentially industrial hygiene, noise, hazard communication, crystalline silica. Then you have an elective of 2 hours. So if you do the math, that's 6 hours, right? So far, now we have an elective of 2 hours, and you must present at least 2 hours of training on the following topics. Minimum length of any topic is 30 minutes. And you have a whole list here. I won't read them out here, but the whole list. So you could tailor make these courses to the specific, your specific needs. Right? So that's what the idea is here. Then you have an optional of 2 hours. Right? Teach other construction industry hazards or policies and or expand on the required or elective topics. The minimum length of any topic is 30 minutes. And that is your 10-hour course done over 2 days. So normally, how do we break them down? 5 hours and 5 hours. However, some clients want 7.5 and 2.5. It all depends on what the client wants to do and who's paying the bill.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
In an unpredictable world, one voice rises above the chaos. Meet Jim Posel, a seasoned safety expert who's navigated through some of the most dangerous scenarios, from anthrax, explosive cleanups, disasters, and numerous environmental cleanups, and lived to tell the tale. Now he's bringing his wealth of knowledge, insights, and experiences to you through Safety Wars. From workplace hazards to the hidden dangers in your own home, Jim covers it all with his engaging storytelling. Safety Wars isn't just a podcast, it's your guide to a safer world. Join Jim Posel and become part of the Safety Wars revolution. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos. Safety Wars. Your safety is our mission.
I'm sure you've heard the news. Safety training is evolving, and you should be too. Outdated safety training isn't just boring, it's dangerous. If your safety trainer is still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety from 25 years ago, it's time for a change. Imagine safety training that actually addresses the hazards unique to your workplace. No more generic, one-size-fits-all solutions. The Safety Wars team at safetywars.com is here to revolutionize how you approach safety, with customized training that's relevant, engaging, and effective. Contact Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. Say goodbye to outdated safety training and hello to a safer, more productive environment. Visit safetywars.com now.
You are listening to Safety Wars. Tomorrow's Safety Today.
Okay, so here we have the 30-hour, we're back. We're talking about OSHA Outreach training here. Here we have the 30-hour construction industry curriculum here. So the training program is right. So the 30-hour training program is intended to provide a variety of training to workers with some safety responsibilities. Training should emphasize, I'm sorry, I cannot speak tonight, hazard identification and avoidance, control and prevention, not OSHA standards. So normally you have the 10-hour course, that's for your everyday worker. Now a 30-hour course, that's for like a supervisor. A lot of companies do not like to give this. One, because there's a lot of more information to it. Number two, it takes a lot more time. And number three, it pretty much, I've seen companies give this training to their employees and the employees walk. If you're in areas like New York City, this is required here for the Department of Labor and pretty much anywhere where there's government money. So the mandatory required stuff is 14 hours. Now, what I don't like is that the introduction to OSHA is still 1 hour. Now, under the optional stuff at the end, do we expand? I normally expand to it. I can talk about it for 2 hours and keep it pretty interesting for the workers. And if it's going to be a 30-hour course, I think that would probably be a good idea with that. Now you have also the managing safety and health for 2 hours. You have added topics that may include injury and illness prevention programs, job site inspections, accident prevention programs, management commitment, and employee involvement, worksite analysis, hazard prevention and control, accident investigations, how to conduct safety meetings and supervisory communications, OSHA Focus 4 hazards, which we already went over, PPE, 2 hours. Well, let me go back. So for falls, it's still a 1 hour, a minimum 1 hour and 30 minutes. PPE for 2 hours, health hazards for 2 hours, and stairways and ladders for 1 hour. Then you have an elective, and there's a big long thing that must present at least 12 hours of training on the following topics, and a big long thing here. But what they are requiring is a foundations for safety leadership, which is an OSHA course in there. It's a very large handout on there that talks about leadership, and I like to talk about leadership, and I also supplement that with our own leadership program here that I developed. Stay tuned, you'll hear more about that in the very near future. Then you have an optional 4 hours. Teach other construction hazards or policy, or expand on the required elective topics. This is usually where I go into fall protection issues, is on something like that for the 4 hours. Now, the ineligible training topics. Topics must be occupational safety and health topics dealing with hazard recognition and prevention. CERT, CPR, and first aid instruction and training cannot be counted towards the fulfillment. So a lot of people back in the day, back in the beginning, would do for CPR and first aid training. And they said, well, that's part of the outreach training program. No, it's not. You're not allowed to do it. No. However, I have spoken to the training to the training organizations. Now they credit it. And let's say that we want to talk about OSHA's, because there's a first aid and CPR, a first aid section in OSHA regulations with that. If you can meet all the other requirements, or you could probably get through on that, but check with your program people, because half of the time I hear one thing, half of the time I hear the other thing, and I'm accredited by 2 different organizations that have told me completely the opposite things. So I avoid it. Training conducted to comply with OSHA standards cannot be counted toward OSHA outreach training programs. The other thing that I do is I also talk about lead in construction, 1926-62. Okay, and then there's different questionnaires. And now this is all done electronically now, but they still include a worksheet here for that. And then you have to have a statement of compliance that goes in there, and I'm just zooming through here. So that's basically an outreach course. So what's the point here? Give us a call. I'm credentialed in all 4 outreach training. That's construction, general industry, maritime, and disaster response. And go out there and give us a call, 845-269-5772, and we can set up a class for you. We're going to take, again, another brief break, and I'm going to set up we're going to talk about OSHA news and views. And now, the biggest stories out there over the last 3 weeks have been the election, right? This November's election, presidential and federal elections here in the United States. I am not going over those now. Later on, probably on a different venue, we're going to be going over that stuff, and I'll be talking about it. But I'm counting this as a haven from presidential politics here with everything. So when I go over a lot of this stuff from the government on these news releases, I think could be considered, if I read them out, an in-kind donation. If not legally, then morally. So I'm being very selective on the stories that I share here with this. Some people have made comments, well, you're doing this side and that side, blah, blah, blah. I'm not. I'm just reading government documents for the most part. But we're going to try to avoid doing that. Okay. So here we have, it's from the Department of Labor, right? So OSHA did not update their website today, so I went to the Department of Labor website for the information here. So the Department of Labor reaches a settlement with a poultry facility to enhance safety measures after a 16-year-old suffers fatal injuries. This is from today. And it's not our policy to mention company names today. Last night I said it then, and I let one slip out here. And we got to remember, everyone's innocent till they're proven guilty and all that stuff. So U.S. Department of Labor has reached a settlement agreement with a Hattiesburg poultry processing plant that requires the company to pay $164,814 in fines and implement enhanced safety measures to protect their employees from well-known machine hazards. The agreement follows investigation by OSHA into the failure by the company to use required safety procedures that would have kept a teenage worker from being fatally caught in a machine as they cleaned it in July 2023. In addition to abating all violations cited by OSHA, they had to implement the following enhancements. Add another properly trained supervisor to the sanitation shift. Provide workers exposed to lotto and machine guarding hazards with updated training. Require the plant's manager and safety director complete OSHA's 30-hour general industry training, and plant supervisors complete OSHA's 10-hour training. So that's general industry. We'll go over that at another time. Institute a system for assigning, identifying, and issuing locks to authorized employees, performing lockout or tagout functions, and update programs and training to reflect this requirement. Conduct a risk and hazard assessment to evaluate the safety exposures and hazards associated with current lotto procedures for the sanitation shift. The assessment must include a review of any incidents, including near misses, injuries, and unexpected startups or malfunctions. Well, let's put it to you this way. To actually do that, you actually have to record those things and make records. Perform monthly lockout and tagout safety audits. And then, stuff going on. Here, the facilities raised live births for poultry production since 1954. In many different facilities. So let's see what the violations are if they are going to let us know today. Citation 1, Item 1, serious. The employer did not ensure that the cap and top, if equipped, and top of a step ladder are not used as steps. Right? So using the top stair of a step ladder. 15,625. Citation 1, Item 2, type of violation serious. And remember, these are just proposed cite fines everything gets litigated, reduced, vacated, and all the other stuff, right? Depending on the situation. This is another walking and working surfaces violation. The employer did not ensure that portable ladders used to gain access to an upper landing surface that have side rails that extend at least 3 feet above the upper landing surface. Another $15,625. Citation 1, Item 3, except as provided elsewhere in this section, 29 CFR 1910.28, the employer did not ensure that each employee on a walking working surface with an unprotected side or edge that is 4 feet or more above or lower level is protected. So this is 4 foot or higher. You have to have some kind of protection there. Guardrail, fall protection. Everyone thinks fall protection is automatically harnessed. No, that's not true. Another $15,625. Now here comes the citation 1, Item 4, serious lockout tagout procedures were not being used. Procedures are not developed, documented, and used for the control of hazardous energy. Another $15,625. Citation 1, Item 5, type of violation serious, 1910-147. Again, development, this is the same as before. The previous one, $15,625. And this is another one. This is a per instance. Another $15,625. Citation 1, Item 7, serious, 1910-147 D2. The machine or equipment was not turned off or shut down using the procedures established. Another $15,625. Citation 1, Item 8. Lockout or tagout devices were not affixed to each energy isolating device by authorized employees. $15,625. 1910-147 D4I. Lockout or tagout devices were not affixed to each energy isolating device by authorized employees. That's $15,625. 1910-147 C4 IIB. The energy control procedures do not clearly and specifically outline the steps for shutting down, isolating, blocking, or securing machines. Another $15,625. Citation 1, Item 11, type of violation serious. Lockout devices and tagout devices do not indicate the identity of the employee applying the device. $15,625. Citation 1, Item 12, type of violation serious, no training. You guess, another $15,625. Citation 1, Item 13, one or more methods of machine guarding was not provided. Another $15,625. Unused openings in boxes, cabinets, and fittings were not effectively closed. So an electric box, a junction box, there are punch outs on there for that allow you to wire more than one thing in there. You can look on any of them. Again, that's another issue with that. No, the things are punched out and not covered. I don't know how you would cover on them. That's $8,300 and change. Citation 2, Item 1. Other than serious, the employer did not provide the protection equipment, including personal protective equipment used to comply with this part. Right? Sanitation. On or about July 14, 2023, the employer did not provide required personal protective equipment such as chemical-resistant rubber boots at no cost to employees. Were they charging, or were they telling employees bring your own PPE? 1172. I don't know. Citation 2, Item 2, type of violation other than serious. Each disconnecting means required by Subpart S of Part 1910 for motors and appliances was not legibly marked to indicate its purpose, nor located and arranged to the purpose that was evidence. So, again, labeling here. Labeling of things. What goes with what? That was $0 on that one, other than serious. I guess they let them off easy on that one. Here's another, other than serious, entrances to rooms and other guarded locations containing exposed live parts were not marked with conspicuous warning signs forbidding unqualified persons to enter. That was 0, and that's the end of it. For a grand total proposed $212,646. All this stuff easily remedied. Not a big deal here. So this is a convenience store chain. U.S. Department of Labor cites leading convenience store chain for serious violation after gunman shoot the cashier. So you're going to say, well, how is the hold on, here you go. This is probably going to be the general duty clause. I'm going to play the audio for general duty clause here, violation here. So let me do that. And here, because, this is why I do these things. General duty clause, what is it?
Want to avoid hefty OSHA fines and keep your team safe? Let's dive into the General Duty Clause. The General Duty Clause, Section 5(a)(1) of the OSHA Act of 1970, is a catch-all rule to cover unregulated hazards. Employers must keep workplaces free from recognized dangers that could cause death or serious harm. For OSHA to cite you under the General Duty Clause, they must prove the following 4 things. 1. The employer failed to render its workplace free of a hazard. 2. An employee was exposed to that hazard. 3. That hazard was causing or likely to cause death or serious physical harm. And 4. Feasible means exist to free the workplace of the hazard. Employees aren't off the hook either. Section 5(b) mandates they follow all safety standards. Both employers and employees must work together to maintain a safe work environment. Examples: think lifting above shoulder height repeatedly, or working without proper support. Stay proactive. Monitor work areas, apply the 4-part test, and you'll prevent those nasty citations and keep everyone safe. Need help? And more information? Contact Jim Posel and the Safety Wars team to help you prevent workplace incidents, conduct safety audits and training. Contact the Safety Wars team at jim@safetywars.com or 845-2695772. Visit us on the web at www.safetywars.com. Let's build a safer workplace together.
All right, so I get tired of saying that again and again, so I just made a little cut in there for this. All right, so citation 1. So this is real simple. Somebody, and I'll read this here. The citation 1, item 1, serious, and they cited the company for $16,131, the maximum here. The on or about January 19, 2024, the store in Orlando, Florida, a cashier standing behind the register was shot and seriously injured during an attempted robbery. Among other methods, feasible and acceptable means of abatement that would materially reduce the hazard include reviewing and updating existing workplace violence policies to implement a comprehensive workplace violence prevention program, including but not limited to the following controls. Right, so they have to show, obviously, somebody was exposed to the hazard. It was a known hazard to this company. There was feasible means of fixing this, right? And everything else. So OSHA has got to go out there, and they typically show what you could do. It's in the letter here. So acceptable means of abatement, right? For this: 1, conduct a worksite hazard analysis to identify environmental and operational risks for violence, including analyzing workplace security. 2, identify and implement engineering and administrative controls to reduce the risk of robbery and or assault, such as, but not limited to, installing physical barriers, such as bullet resistance enclosures, which separate customers from the store associates at the cash register, using a method to control access during late night and early morning hours, such as locking doors and using pass-through windows, or installing a controlled access entry system, like a buzzer, installing a panic alarm system that alerts local authorities to ensure a rapid, reliable response when the alarm is triggered. Update current policies and procedures to reflect implemented changes and review the effectiveness of these controls at least annually or more frequently where necessary to address increased workplace violence incidents at work. 3. Train employees working during the night shift on workplace violence prevention policies and procedures, including but not limited to locking doors, using pass-through windows, limiting tasks outside the facility, and reporting and logging workplace violence incidents, including threats of workplace violence and near misses. 4. Establish a comprehensive work plan, workplace violence incident investigation program to investigate all incidents of workplace violence, including threats of workplace violence and near misses. Track workplace violence incidents and workplace violence complaints to determine any necessary actions to prevent reoccurrences. Review store snow data. I don't know what that is, but they say you got to do it. Area crime reports and incident reports from other sources at least annually or more frequently when necessary to determine appropriate risk levels. And so they, on one, for $16,131. Now, this is a little bit controversial because this is what normally I would get back from a client. And what that is Jimmy, it's not in the regulations, therefore I don't have to do it. No, it says that, right? Because under the general duty clause, right, you got to do it. Number 2 is that, and I don't even know where the position would be on this. Well, we're all going to carry guns in the store. Well, okay. I don't know how that works out depending on where you're at, because most employers that I know of do not encourage that. PPE, again, up here in New York, can you issue PPE related to this? Let's say you wanted to issue everybody a bulletproof vest in this store. That's PPE. Right? Or someone would say a substitution thing on the hierarchy of controls because you still get hurt with a bulletproof vest. Right? You just don't get the same kind of injury. Well, again, in New York, you can't do that because bulletproof vests are outlawed. So, what am I saying here? If you're in a convenience store, if you're in a regular workplace, this would probably be something that you would want to point out to your employer with security issues. Okay. OSHA administers more than 20 whistleblower protections. A whistleblower complaint, right? Here. If OSHA proceeds with an investigation with a whistleblower complaint, OSHA will notify your employer of your complaint and provide the employer with an opportunity to respond on that. So basically, even if you make a complaint on safety and they do something to you, right? They're in violation of any whistleblower law, of the whistleblower law. So what are some of the things that they might do? Harass, discipline, cut your hours, cut your pay, not give you a promotion that you were up for, anything like that, any retaliation for complaining. So what's my point? When you're dealing with the in the convenience stores here, and you don't have security, or any workplace environment, you don't have security, you document it. And if it's that dangerous, do you really have to do the work? That's what I ask. What I can ask. Well, guess what? That's an ethical judgment at that point, because it's just the way it is. That's an ethical judgment. Are you going to work there or not? So we're going to release 2 videos on this probably tomorrow, as well as all the updated podcast information for this week. That's going to be tomorrow. So I know we'll confuse everybody by uploading 3 episodes, but that's what we're going to do with things. I've had some obligations here in the evening. Here's some others. So we covered the Harbor Bridge accident. The operators of a Harbor Bridge project crane that malfunctioned and caught fire last year have reached a settlement with federal safety officials agreeing to comply with approved procedures. The accident happened on April 22nd, 2023, at the construction site of the New Bridges South Pylon, when an 18,000-pound bucket of concrete that had been suspended overhead fell into the work zone below of the tower crane, injuring the wife of a visiting baseball player during a Corpus Christi Hooks game at the nearby Whataburger Field. Ada Hernandez was hit with flying metal shrapnel from the crane that cut through her baby bag, and hit her in the spleen. Anyway, hold on, streaming stopped. Okay, we're going to just end the program right here. And because I don't think I can resolve this here. This needs a little bit more thing. I'm getting interference. So, sorry guys and gals out there. We are going to go to our outro, and I will see you tomorrow.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.